Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the End Zone Enthusiast Guys. We are already going into week 4. That is amazing how quickly this season is going. We're going into the end of September. And the sad part is I'm not going to be able to watch these games. I actually have a wedding on Sunday, so I'm going to be taping Red Zone, watching that on Monday, going right into the Monday night game there. But we have some great, amazing lineups going on here. So real quick before we get started here, I'm the End Zone Enthusiast. I love roller coasters. We got Whopper here. We've got Hippo from Adventure Sports, and we got all these cool little things here. We even got Twisted Timbers and Banshee back there. But we're also big fans of the NFL, and because of that, we started this channel to basically incorporate both of our loves. Every time I do it, I do a different shirt. This one is actually a park I have not been to in years. Canada's Wonderland, right over there north of Buffalo. So basically go to Buffalo, go through the checkpoint, head up there towards Toronto. You got Canada's Wonderland, some great coasters there. But you're not here to talk about coasters. That's on my other channels. Here we are talking about all of the games we got going on, and we are kicking it off right now with our Thursday night game. But before we get started here, we are currently 35 correct, 13 losses. The first 2 weeks, 13-3, and then I was 12-4. But last week, 10-6. It was brutal. Who would have had Carolina winning? Who had Atlanta laying that egg? You also got to talk about Green Bay losing to Cleveland. So many upsets there that I got rocked. But this time, I got you, all right? So our first matchup is going to be on Thursday night, tonight. So make sure you watch it there over on Prime. And it is the Seattle Seahawks against the Arizona Cardinals. Now, both of these teams are 2-1, but both of these teams are giving completely different vibes so far this year. Seattle lost the first game. You kind of tell Sam Darnold was trying to get his footing, but the last 2 games, they dominated both of those games. Sam Darnold looked amazing. He's passing out there to Smith and Njoku. The running attack with Kenneth Walker Jr. was the third on par. The defense, which is definitely the coach's strength, has been incredibly solid. Meanwhile, Arizona seems to be playing with smoke and mirrors. They've been going back and forth. The first 2 games they won, but they were games they should have dominated, and they just kind of pulled them out at the end. Then last week, they had the wounded San Francisco 49ers, and they were leading most of the game, but they couldn't close them out. So what's my thinking on this? The Seahawks are going to take this NFC North West matchup here. And the main reason is they're playing better, first of all. But second of all, I think the James Conner injury, he's out for the year. He was on 2 of my 3 fantasy teams. So I'm definitely taking the hit there. Losing James Conner is going to be a bigger issue than you think. And I think just Seattle is just the better team to begin with. And then being down Conner, I just don't see how Arizona is going to take this. So the Thursday night game is going to the Seattle Seahawks. Now, of course, we are going into the Sunday games, and there's always a million of them. And so I name them all a little bit different here. This one's called the tough matchup. You've got the Minnesota Vikings against the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's where is it at? It is at Pittsburgh, right? Yep, it's at Pittsburgh. So Minnesota, first game, okay, they came back and they won in the fourth quarter. Second game, they got their butt handed to them. But then the third game with Carson Wentz, they looked really good. They looked dominant. They definitely destroyed the Dallas Cowboys. So kind of curious here at the time that I'm recording this, which is Tuesday. I do all my videos on Tuesday. I don't know if JJ McCarthy is going to be there. And to be honest with you, I kind of hope it's Carson Wentz again. All right. Like I said in one of the earlier videos, I think they have a better chance to win with Carson Wentz. He is definitely more established. He was an Eagle. We know him very well. I think when push comes to shove, he's a lot more mature than he was in the past. And I think they have a better chance there. So if Carson Wentz, I'm going to go with the mindset that Carson Wentz is playing here. Now let's talk about Pittsburgh. Aaron Rodgers is starting to look old, and he only has Metcalf as his only legitimate receiver, except for Freiermuth. The running attack has been very good. Mason's been definitely solid on that end there, but the defense has been a little bit more back and forth. So by me picking this, it's kind of a 55-45 again, and I'm going with the thought that it's going to be Carson Wentz. And because of that, I think the Bucs are going to win. If it's McCarthy, I'm not as solid on this pick. All right. I think that Wentz gives them the more mature, the more seasoned option. And I think if he is the quarterback, he's smart enough to get it to Jefferson and to Hawkinson and all those guys. But if he's not in there, maybe JJ will play like he plays in the fourth. But either way, I got to make my pick now. I'm not the last minute guy. My guts tell me it's going to be Wentz, and my guts tell me it's going to be the Vikes. Next one is the redemption game, but not so much for Washington. Washington kind of redeemed themselves last week with a really good victory. And yet again, at the time of recording this, it's about 50-50. I think they're leaning towards Daniels being their quarterback. I think that he is going to be the guy who does it. But we saw that Mariota can actually play if he's over there. My bigger concern and what's going to factor into this game is what's going on with Atlanta. Atlanta has looked good the first two games. They looked really good the second game. Baker had to bake, and Baker does what Baker does for them to actually take to take that first game. So they are 1-2. But last week, Carolina destroyed them, shut them down. The kicking system is there. There's a problem with the kicker. We know that. But they couldn't get Bijan Robinson going. They couldn't get the ball out to the wide receivers. Penix definitely took a step back. So really going into this, do you think that was a fluke for Atlanta? Or do you think that is what the Atlanta Falcons really are? And that's what you got to determine here, because you know what Washington is. You know they got a solid defense. You know they move with their legs. Even with Mariota, they were still mobile quarterback, getting out there. Ernst is a great receiver. Scary Terry is questionable right now at the time of recording this. So I think Terry will play. But my gut is telling me the Falcons are going to come back with this victory. They are the home team, but that doesn't really matter with Atlanta. I think what matters here is really, I just think that they made such an egg that they're going to be coming out all guns blazing. And I really just think that they're going to take this game and beat Washington. And also, as an Eagles fan, like to get a little bit of space between Washington and the Eagles. Next game we're going to talk about is the ouch game. Why am I saying ouch? Well, it's probably the best team in the AFC, the Buffalo Bills, going up against what most people consider to be one of the worst teams in the NFL, the New Orleans Saints. So Buffalo at this point here, they're winning on the ground. They're winning through the air. They're winning on their defense. Special teams have been solid. They are a very complete team here. Now, of course, something happens to Josh Allen. We are reshuffling this deck. But at this point, the only thing he's got right now is a messed up nose, which he's not as pretty, but you know what? He already married his sweetheart. He doesn't have to look pretty anymore, right? Going against the Saints. Now, the Saints last week turned into the Saints that we thought they were going to be. Spencer Rattler could not do anything. Their running attack was looking old. Olave was just kind of there. Defense was kind of there. Cameron Jordan is 97 years old. After a while, he's going to be wearing out there. So New Orleans looked at what they were going to look like. Meanwhile, Buffalo won their last game through the ground. So they are multifaceted. They're going to be 4-0. The Bills are going to keep marching on. At this point, we don't really need to know why. We just know it's going to happen, all right? Even though we were really cocky with Green Bay going against Cleveland, and Cleveland pulled the upset, I don't see any scenario unless Josh Allen gets hurt and James Cook gets hurt. I don't see, unless injuries, you really take over the game anyway, that the Saints pull this off. Next one is the Rust Belt matchup here. The Cleveland Browns, who threw the big upset last week with that amazing defense, going up against the Detroit Lions, who are now looking like the Detroit Lions of last year. And really, with this one, you got to figure out the matchup is going to be the Cleveland defense. Can they stop the two-headed monster of the running attack there with Montgomery and Gibb, or even slow down, Raw and, of course, Goff? Can that defense do that? They just did it with Green Bay. Can they do it back-to-back? Meanwhile, I'm sorry, but are you going to keep staying with Flacco? Flacco doesn't make the big mistake, but he's not going to be the guy who wins the game. He'll move you down the field, but he's not going to do that strike. He's not mobile back there. He's 41, 42. Is this a time that not Shakur, not Sanders? I'm not saying Sanders. I'm saying the other quarterback. Is this a chance to give him an option here? Will he get some reps? We're going to find out here. But no matter what, the Lions, just like the Bills, are going to keep on rolling. Yet again, the defense pulled off a miracle, but you know what? I'm sure Dan Campbell's going to be scheming for everything they did there. They're not going to slow down that defense. You're not going to run over that defense, but you're going to be able to score on that defense. All right, next one is the battle for the first round pick. And it's 3 games in, and it's really looking like these two teams could be fighting for the number 1 pick already. You got the Tennessee Titans that most people expected were going to have a tough year. I mean, the reality is they have a rookie quarterback, but the problem really is their coach is just not a good coach on that end there. Going against the Houston Texans, who actually have a really good coach, but no offensive line. Their defense is doing well. They're in every game. They're just not being able to, close it out there. Well, with that being said, Houston finally gets a win. Tennessee, yet again, unless there's injuries, I really don't see Cam with Calvin Ridley being the only guy he's really being able to get the ball to. Pollard is a good running back on that end, and they are a better running attack than you got currently with Houston. So it's going to be closer than you think, but I just think DeMeco Ryans is going to scheme it right, and he's really going to get on his guys. There's no way he can go 0-4, is there? Is there? Next one is the second-year quarterback battles. Now, I know it's the third year for Bryce Young, but really that first year, we can kind of just cross that off there. So you got Carolina, who had a blowout victory. How often do you say Carolina had a blowout victory last week against Atlanta? Going against the New England Patriots, who literally gave the game to the Steelers. 4 fumbles, 5 turnovers. You can't win a game with that many mistakes. They fumbled one that was right on the goal line, which if he would have just broke that plane of the goal line, they would have won the game against the Steelers. So going into this game here, if New England can play mistake-free football, it doesn't have to be perfect. I just think they're not going to do 5 turnovers. I think whoever that running back is, I can't remember off the hand, he's going to be running through like this. He's going to be hugging that damn ball, making sure that doesn't go through. I just see that Carolina had a great game, great scheme, and they played perfectly. But I do think the Patriots are a better team. No offense to Corrales. I think he's going to be a great coach. But I think Vrabel has shown over time that he is a better coach. Quarterback-wise, I always got to give it to Drake May. I think he's just a little bit more polished than Bryce Young. Next one. This is going to get ugly. The LA Chargers, the 3rd-ranked team on my power rankings. Who would have saw that 3 weeks ago, that the Chargers would be my 3rd-ranked team? They're undefeated in the division. They're 3-0 in the division. They're 3-0 there. Going against the New York Giants, which really had a great game against Dallas. But after seeing Dallas the following week against Minnesota, wasn't really a great win. A great game. You still lost to Dallas when they got blown up by Minnesota. So this is going to be another ugly game. I think the Chargers are just a really complete team. They're firing all cylinders. Yes, they did lose Najee Harris for the year, which does hurt. I mean, he's a seasoned running back, experienced running back, and you kind of need those guys. But I just think that at this point, let's be honest, Chargers are going to remain undefeated there. They are really, with Kansas City possibly losing, I'll let you know about that game a little bit later, they can have a commanding lead in this division where only Denver could be their only threat, and they already got the tiebreak on them. So already at the end of September, the Chargers could be – are we going to say the Chargers are charging and that being a good thing? Who knows, right? So the next game on my schedule here is Philadelphia against Tampa Bay. I'm not going to tell you that one until the end because that's my number 1 team against my number 2 team, the team I was born into, against a team that I'm hoping to become my home team in a couple years. We're going to talk about that one later. So right now we're going to go with Indianapolis against the Rams, which is a surprisingly pivotal game right now. You got Indianapolis, which is 3-0, which nobody saw this coming. People had Shane Steichen as one of the top 4 coaches to get fired this year. They had when he picked Daniel Jones over Anthony Richardson, got crushed in the media. Why are you going with the old guy? You know he's a failure. He's a career backup. To right now, they have the number 1 running attack. Danny Dimes is top 5 quarterback right now. They're 3-0. going against the Rams, who literally had the Eagles beat 26-7 at one point. 26-7 they were up, and they just laid it. All they needed was a field goal, and they got 2 of them blocked. They ended up losing that game. So going into this, you got Indianapolis, which is riding high, and you got the Rams, who are pissed off. So how is that going to play out? Indiana Jones comes back to earth. I really think that no matter how good that defense is, I think Puka and Devontae Adams is really going to test Indianapolis defense. And then, of course, you got Verse and those guys with that pass rush. That's a great offensive line Indianapolis has, but it's going to be a big test. I can see Indianapolis winning this, but my gut's telling me it's going to be the Rams. The next one is the wounded battle. Now, Jacksonville's not too hurt. It has more to do with San Francisco in this one. And San Francisco is 3-0. But man, everybody keeps on saying when they judge teams, who's the worst 3-0 team, and they always say Indianapolis. And I'm nay. It has to be San Francisco, because every game they're losing another piece of their puzzle there. They still don't have Brandon Ayuk. At the time of filming this on Tuesday, I don't know if Brock Purdy's going to be back. Mac Jones has done pretty well, but Mac Jones was the walking wounded at the end of the game. And they lose Nick Bosa. And that's going up against Jacksonville, who it's hard to get behind Jacksonville, not because they don't like the team. I think the defense is really solid. The running attack is great. I do love Travis Henry. I think he's going to be a superstar. My biggest problem with Jacksonville is I don't think Trevor Lawrence is a top 10 quarterback, even though he's getting paid top 5 money. So it's kind of hard for me to figure out, is San Francisco wounded going to be able to attack, keep Jacksonville in the cage? Because Jacksonville is healthy and they are playing really good football. Well, I think Jacksonville is going to be too much for them to handle. I think Jacksonville is going to win this. And who knows who's going to get hurt this time. Now, if Purdy plays, I don't think that changes Jacksonville much, because Mac Jones wasn't much of a drop-off. My fear is Mac Jones is hurt, Purdy's not ready to come back, and they're bringing out a third quarterback who, when they mentioned him, I didn't even know who the heck he was. So all in all here, I think Jacksonville is going to get the victory here and keep the pressure on Indianapolis. And if my prediction is correct, there's going to be a tie going, for week 4 in the South there. Next one is loser season ends. I know it's week 4. How can I say whoever loses this game, Baltimore against Kansas City, is done for the year? How can I say that with a straight face? Well, they're both 1-2. They both have losing divisional games, and it's a long climb back. If you're Kansas City, you're looking up at the Chargers. Right now, they have 2 games on you. If you lose and they win, that could be 4 games because they have the tiebreak against you. Meanwhile, Baltimore, it's not as drastic, but if you're 1-3 and tied with Cleveland at that point there, with Pittsburgh possibly winning and Cincinnati maybe pulling off an upset there, it's an uphill battle. So this game is really going to determine the direction of these teams. Is Kansas City going to even make the playoffs this year? They've got to win for them to do that. Meanwhile, Baltimore at this point there, they have an easier division because of the injuries of Joe Burrow and Pittsburgh just squeaking by victories. But still, you're looking up and trying to play, keep up with the Chargers at this point. And Buffalo, you lose this game, it's going to be rough. So who do I think? I think the Ravens are going to rebound, even though they looked horrible against a good team like Detroit and they lost a nail biter to Buffalo. I think they're going to have enough to beat Kansas City. And Kansas City at this point there's no guarantee that Rice is coming back. And of course, you lost a lot of credibility right now. Worthy coming back. You lost a lot of credibility and a lot of people, fans, with your free number 4. Like he's like this poor guy. Oh my God, I can't believe he's suspended for 6 games. He almost killed people by racing. He's lucky he's not in jail for a felony. So the fact that he lost 6 games, you should be happy that he's coming back at all this year. He's another Michael Vick to me. Michael Vick victimized dogs, killed dogs. He could have killed people going to 120. The thing that gets me the most about this idiot was he walked away from the accident. You got 2 cars that you hit. There's people that might be hurt, could be dying, and you run off like you're a freaking teenager on Halloween night. So Kansas City, You get what you deserve. You're going to be 1-3, and there's no tears from me. All right. And it's not because I don't like Mahomes. It's not because I don't like Travis Kelce as a whole. I just think it's time for you guys. Last year, you won so many games with one-score games and the ball going your way. Just like Tom Grossi has here, the refs are not on your side anymore. You got to win with skill, and you just don't have the skill there. I still don't understand why your running attack's so bad because you got two great running backs, but that's beyond me. Baltimore, you're going to take them out, and this could be the final coffin on the Chiefs already in September. Next one we got is roll the dice, guys. Chicago against Vegas. Who knows what the hell we got with this one? You got Chicago the first 2 weeks. First game, they played 3 great quarters, and then it fell apart. Minnesota took the victory. Second week, oh my God, they look like a joke. But last week, they dominated Dallas. They beat up on their old coach with the defense. So what team's going to show up there? And then Vegas was the opposite. They looked really good week 1, but the last 2 weeks, Geno Smith has been giving the ball away. You get a football. You get a football. He's like Oprah on crack. So what team's going to show up here? Is Geno going to right the ship? Is Chicago really building and what we saw last week, what we get? Well, I think the winner is going to be the Bears. I don't think Vegas at this point, I don't think Geno Smith is a good quarterback at this point because he's making the mistakes. And I really think, I don't want to say you need to be a game manager, but Danny Dimes, I'm sorry, Indiana Jones is winning because he's playing mistake-free football. That's how you win games. Jalen Hurts, same thing, not turning away the game. These guys are not throwing up the billion yards and stuff. They're playing mistake-free football. And I don't think Geno can do it. So I think the Bears are going to get it. It's time for the Micah Bowl. Green Bay going against Dallas. And the reality is, I don't think Dallas is a good team. They played the Eagles competitively, but a lot of that had to do with the thunderstorm that stopped the Eagles. They just got the fumble, and then, boom, 2-hour delay. That's definitely going to affect things there. And then last week, Dallas got embarrassed by Chicago. I just mentioned it there. So is Dallas good? We know Green Bay's good. We don't know what happened last week. They got shut down by a fantastic defense. Well, I hate to tell you this, Dallas. You don't have a fantastic defense. So this one I'm not going to waste your time on. The pack is back. They're going to blow up the Dallas Cowboys. And CeeDee Lamb is out for at least 2 weeks. I've been hearing 4 weeks. So is Pickens going to be able to step up? I don't think so. That running attack scares nobody at this point. I love Miles Sanders. He's a Penn Stater. But you know what? It's just going to be the pack is back, and they want vengeance. They're not even going to sleep on you. You know, you can't sneak up on somebody after you get your butt beat like Green Bay lost last week by having Cleveland sneak up on them. They're not going to give Dallas the opportunity. Next is the Monday night game, and we got the Monday night bottom feeders here. You got the Miami Dolphins against the New York Jets. Now, both of these teams are 0-3 at this point there, but they've shown good games and they showed bad games. And last week, both teams played good games. Now, Miami was going up against Buffalo. That's a tough order, even if you're playing well there. But they could probably save McDaniels off a job right now because of the way they played. Meanwhile, the Jets accelerated a little bit too soon there. You got you are down by 6. You block a kick. You run it back for a touchdown. You're up by 1, but you way too much time for Baker, and Baker bakes. So at this point here, you got two teams that are finding their way, and I think the Jets are going to get this victory. I think there's still a lot of negativity with Miami Dolphins inside the locker room. I think Tyreek Hill is a cancer, and his attitude is so negative. I think Tua at this point is making a lot of mistakes. Meanwhile, Fields may be back, may not be back. I kind of like with the Carson Wentz thing, I kind of believe in Tyrod Taylor being a better choice to win right now. But either way, I think Miami has too many issues inside, the locker room. Tua is just not playing well, and I think the Jets are going to get this one. Now, what could have been matchup, Cincinnati against Denver. Man, this was shaping up to be an amazing set. When you're looking on your schedule for week 4 and you see Cincinnati Bengals with Joe Burrow going against that amazing defense with the Broncos, this is going to be a classic battle. Well, the defense of the Broncos have not been playing up to the last 2 games, not been playing up to their level. Of course, Bo Nix is hot and cold, so you don't know what Bo Nix you're going to get. not just game to game, but from play to play or from series to series, we don't know what you're going to get. Meanwhile, Browning has not been the backup that we thought that they had in Cincinnati. Even though they won game 2, they threw 3 interceptions, I believe. And then last week, he just looked lost. So what's going to happen here? I think it's going to be Denver because there's no Joe. No Joe. Denver's defense is going to beat up on Browning. And I think Denver pulls this one out there. All right. There was a game I skipped earlier. We got to talk about it. The last game is the battle of my favorites. So if you've been watching the channel, and I know you have, because I'm seeing our numbers going up there, make sure you subscribe. Always like to get more subscribers. Got 2 at the time of filming this. Like to get at least 10 by the end of the month. So if you like this, I do this every week. I'm a Philadelphia sports fan. I'm an Eagles. I bleed green, baby. I've been with them, not just for the Don McNabb, Andy Reid years. I've been there with the Rich Kotite years. I have a Bobby Hoying jersey. I will show it sometime. So I've been bleeding green my entire life. But I've always had a soft spot for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Even when I was a kid, I remember I was in elementary school and you got those reader points and you could buy something with your things. And I got an Eagles cup. And for some reason, I got a Green Bay Packers cup because I kind of like that. But I got Bucko Bruce. It was Bucko Bruce, man. I love the creamsicle uniforms. Last week, watching Baker in the creamsicle, oh, it's my heart there. And I remember the Steve DeBerg years. I remember the Steve Young years. I remember the Doug Williams years. And then, of course, I remember the good times with Gruden. And, of course, Tom Brady coming in there and getting us that championship, the second championship. So it's been 1-2 for years. Recently, once I got Baker, I mean, Brady, I was kind of like, okay, yeah, I'm good there. But Baker epitomizes Tampa Bay. They are a team that's always been looked down on. Baker never got as much love as he should. And over the last 2 or 3 years has become 1A and 1B. And every time they play, I've always gone Eagles. So let's look at this game. You got both teams at 3-0. Both teams getting there kind of differently. You got Tampa 3-0, but all 3 games have been last-minute victories by Tampa. It's either been holding on to the lead or last week losing the lead and coming back and winning by 1. But it's been Baker. And this is a team that does have Godwin. He hasn't been there most of the year. They're missing their 2 all-star tackles, so their offensive line, Baker's been running like crazy. However, you had Evans, who may or may not be playing at the time of this. I don't know his status. You have Ngigwe, I believe, Gigla, the new rookie, who's been playing lights out. Even Baker saying, you're disrespecting my balls because you're catching with one hand, jokingly. And you got a defense. Tom Bowles, love him or hate him, he does no defenses. Meanwhile, you got the Eagles, who 19 victories out of their last 20, and the one they lost was the one that hit Jalen Hurts didn't finish the game because he got injured halfway through the game against Washington. So they can very easily be 20-0. But earlier, Dallas, they were doing great. Then the rain delay came, and it kind of, lost some momentum. Against the Chiefs, it was tush-push fest. And against the first half, against the Rams, man, we were ready to fire the offense coordinator. But that second half, you saw what the Eagles can do. Touchdown to Goddard, touchdown to A.J. Brown. A lot of passes to A.J. Brown. Clutch catches by A.J. Brown. And, of course, Smith there getting that final win there. The defense coming down. Not just the defense, but the special teams. We got to remember, not only were they down 26-7, but they also had to stop the Rams. And in that second half, that defense stopped the Rams, which is a Devontae Smith and Puka. That's hard to do. And they were able to score with that pass rush of Verse going through the line. So you saw what the Eagles can do. So here, I am so torn. Because on one hand, you got my family, Eagles, bleeding green. You've done it so many times in your life. Always been the Eagles. Eagles won the Super Bowl. I got you. And 30 other teams. You're my guys. I'm like Tom Grossi, Green Bay till I die. But then I got the Packers. I mean, not the Packers, the Bucs. Get the hell out of the Packers. See, Grossi got me messed up there. You got the Bucs, who are just a team that's beyond gritty in a city that I'm hoping to move to at sometime in my life. I'm in Central PA, but I'm dying to get down to Tampa, Clearwater, St. Pete. That's where I want to go. So where am I going? Well, do I have a new favorite team? Because I'm thinking Baker's going to bake, baby. I think Baker, for some reason, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have gotten the Eagles' number. Yes, last year they didn't get a chance. They didn't do it. But you know what? Before then, in the playoffs, they knocked the Eagles out of the playoffs a few times over the years. So am I doing this because I think Baker's going to win? And I'm doing that to pad my stats? Or am I doing that because maybe there's a changing of the guard? Well, that's going to be for you to decide, but that's my last pick is there. So next week, boom, I got to get that off the screen before my family disowns me. Tuesday, we're going to see how I did here. We're 35-13. Are we going to progress? Are we going to do better than 10-6? We're going to do 13-3 again, or are we going to actually have a losing record? We're going to find out. And then on Wednesday is my favorite episode, the Power Rankings. Last week, we had 3 people drop in, drop out. The week before that, 6 people dropped out, 6 people dropped in. This time of year, there's a lot of fluid. And of course, I had the Eagles at number 1 and Tampa Bay at number 4. Will the Eagles stay number 1 if they win? Will Tampa Bay become number 1 if they win? You know, is there going to be an upset? Are the Chargers going to lose? Buffalo? You got to find out on Wednesday. And on Thursday, same sheet. That's going to say 5. So once again, guys, Baker's got to bake. Fly, Eagles, fly. And Bills, just keep doing what you're doing. Yes, I changed it up this time.